let's dig into basic EQing of a vocal. A good place for me to start is I listen to whatever I'm working on and I go, is there a problem here? Is there something I'm trying to solve? If there isn't, great, I don't do anything. You don't need to add salt to everything you're cooking, just like you don't need to EQ everything you're mixing. Same principle. The next thing I listen to is there an artistic thing I want to do with this? Like, do I want to make it sound telephoned so it sits in a mix really well, like, or have some sort of effects on it and things like that? And that's cool, and that's the artistic side of mixing. But let's start with the more technical side, which is, hey, are there technical issues? And I try to solve the technical issues first, and then I get into the artistic stuff. Or sometimes if the technical issues are really big, then I make the technical issue into an artistic decision by messing with it with effects. For this, let's start with a vocal take that was done for an acoustic song. So this is the song Pennies. Kane wrote it. It's on the last Bone Gun record, Annex. And it's a vocal and a ukulele song. You know, so it's meant to not have a lot going on. So we just want the vocal to sound big and natural. For the record, we decided to add some reverb and kind of put it into a little bit of a space. But here's the raw take. And let's just listen to this section.
I'm not ashamed to say I have no idea where I spent mine.
So the first thing I listen for is, does it feel like I'm in the room with him singing? Or is there something about that microphone or that room that's making it feel a little unnatural? And for me, when I'm listening to it, it seems like that microphone hyped the high end in his voice a little bit. That tss, tss is getting hyped a little bit, and that's fine. And actually for rock mixes, that's great sometimes, is you want that high end hype. But since we're looking for an acoustic feel, one of the first things I would do is listen to that high end, and I'd go tss.
I'm not ashamed to say.
You can hear how that nasaliness and that tss is coming out a little more. So I would look up here in the high end, and let's just cut it out a little bit.
I'm not ashamed to say I have no idea where I...
And you hear how that nasaliness is taken down a little bit. So I'm equalizing the effect the microphone had on his voice. So we can take that out again.
I'm not ashamed to say.
Back in.
I'm not ashamed to say.
So it's not as nasally. It sounds more like I'm sitting in the room with him. So that's usually my starting place, is what's making this sound not like I'm in the room with the musician. The next thing I always look at is there a bunch going on in the low end from the microphone being moved around, some sort of rumble, or some notes that are happening that are really down there. Because, you know, a vocalist can't sing a note that's at 20 hertz. It's, you know, maybe there's some people in the world that can do it, but they're few and far between. So usually if there's some noise down there, it is just that noise and low end rumble. So most of the time you want to do a high pass filter to take that out so you don't have that rumble coming through your speakers. So the trick is you listen to it and you go, well, where am I not hearing this affect what the singer actually did? So if we move it up to, like, let's say 100 hertz, and we say we're going to high pass at 100 hertz, does this affect the vocals? Let's listen to it.
I'm not ashamed to say.
Now you can see on the EQ graph, there's a lot, the notes are right here. They're starting at like 180 to 200. But listen again.
I'm not ashamed to say.
We'll take this high pass out.
I'm not ashamed.
You hear how that that note, that resonance was kind of dulled down by the high pass. You might like that, you might not, but it is affecting it even though it's below what the notes are. So let's just move this down a bit and listen to it now.
I'm not ashamed to say.
And take it out.
I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed.
And you can hear how it's not affecting it as much. And so I'd be okay with having my high pass there for this vocal. And that way I know that any microphone stand rumble or, you know, a truck driving by, that kind of noise is probably not going to get to my speakers. So usually you want a high pass just to get rid of that stuff, but you want to make sure it's low enough that you're not accidentally changing the tone of your vocal, unless you like the change of the tone. That's fine. So if I'm listening to this vocal some more,
Either way, if you find yourself in the shining grace of our angry May.
to me, this doesn't feel quite like I'm standing in the room with Kane, because when you're in the room with him, he actually has a lot of chest resonance and he activates the room. And the microphone, this microphone in that room didn't pick that up that well. So I would want to bring out some of that low end. And to go with our rule of thumb of when we're boosting and we're bringing stuff out, we want to have a wide cue. We want to have it a wide, broad boost and really gentle. I'm going to do a low shelf, and I'm going to add it in so we're kind of bringing out that chest resonance a bit, but I'm going to make it so the slope is super gentle like that. And you can see how it's just like, okay, we're bringing out that low end, and we'll just have it start working on the low end, and listen to it now.
Either way, if you find yourself in the shining grace of our angry Maker, won't you sing an Ave there for me?
So let's listen without that.
Of our angry Maker, won't you sing an Ave there?
With it.
Of our angry Maker, won't you sing an Ave there?
I might actually add some more, so I'm gonna make it a little bit more of a slope, so it's not getting into the high end as much. A little bit deeper, and then add a little more. Let's put it back in.
Of our angry Maker, won't you sing an Ave there for me?
And you hear how it gave a little bit more body to what he's singing. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking at. And then, you know, we can get into compression and de-essing and all that. But my first thing when I'm EQing, especially with something like vocals, is how do I make it sound like when I'm standing in the room with that singer, that it feels closer to how they sound as a singer. And that's my square one. And I always like that as my first step in the whole process. Give it a try on some of your own vocals. Have some fun with it.